Welcome to the Brave Women at Work podcast. This is your host, Jen Pastikas. I'm so glad you're here. With the Brave Women at Work podcast, you'll get the resources and tips along with real-world stories and humor to empower and inspire you to take bolder and braver actions in your career and life. I'm so glad you're here. Well, hey everyone, how are you doing out there? So I have some really exciting news to share this week. First, and thanks to you, this episode is the 250th show of the Brave Women at Work podcast. Yes, you heard that right, 250 episodes. If you would have told me that I would do 250 podcasts, I don't know. I don't think I would have believed you, but here we are, and it's so special to me. I could get emotional on this show. Maybe it'll end up happening, but I am asking everyone for grace and compassion as we go forward this year. And this show has just been a lifeline for me. It's been a healing. It's been a salve. It's been a way to build community. It's been a way for me to meet new people. It has meant just so much to me. So thank you so much. And here's to, if I can hang out that long, another 250 more. Also, kind of coordinating with this, it's special because it's my birthday week. So I wanted to share, which is rare, and I'd like it to be more than rare, but this week is going to be a solo show with my key learnings as I turn 48. Yes, you heard that right. This gal is also turning 48. So before we get started, if Brave Women at Work, the podcast has helped you personally or professionally, please be sure to share it with a family member, friend, or colleague. And of course, you know, the ratings and reviews help the show continue to gain traction and grow. Quick update on that for everyone. We're currently at over 92,000 downloads and in 34 countries. Wow. All I can say is wow, and thank you so much. Also, if you haven't heard, I have an announcement. I have been working on an awesome project. We finished it later this summer, early fall. I coordinated on this and collaborated on this project with Jackie Satera of JNC Innovations and Jennifer Johnson, who's an amazing kick-ass nurse in Canada. And a Brave Women at Work Affirmation Deck has been born and is now available. So it's a 52-card deck that is a beautiful compilation of advice and wisdom from Brave Women at Work podcast guests, authors in the Brave Women at Work anthology series, and various community members. So you can grab a copy of the deck for $19.99 plus $10 in shipping in the US. And if you want to purchase it outside of the US, just send me an email at hello@bravewomenatwork.com. So to purchase your deck, visit Brave Women at Work and click on resources. That's on the website. From there, you're going to see the Affirmations Cards page, and I hope that you really enjoy them. I've heard from some colleagues that use them at their desks at work and some friends. They will pick one a week and just be in rotation, or they'll pick one a month and kind of enjoy them, like stretch out that enjoyment even longer before they have to do rotation. Either way, make them work for you, and I hope that you truly find inspiration and joy using them. Okay, so why did I decide to do a special birthday show for turning 48? I didn't do one when I turned 47. I didn't do one when I turned 46 or 45. I think we're at our fourth or fifth year on the show. I'd have to go back and look. All I know is that we're at 250 episodes. So why is the age of 48 important to me? Well, the age of 48 has always carried a special meaning to me, because my father, who was my rock, my emotional stability, such an amazing person and a wonderful friend, he passed away at the age of 48. And then my mentor, not in the same year, different phases of my life, he also passed away at 48. So I have to be honest, I was afraid of 48. I was like, oh my word, like, am I going to fall off a cliff at this age? Like, is this some weird omen? Like, why am I having all these people, these important men, especially in my life, die at the same age? Yet, as I'm going into this new era, of 48, yet here I am, right? I haven't fallen off a cliff. I hope I don't, and that you kind of hang out with me for 49 and 50 and beyond. I feel stronger. I feel like the word is steelier, right? I feel a little stronger in the spine. And I also feel, and I'm really excited, I'm inching towards what they call my crone era, right? That area of wisdom with pride. I am still here. I feel like I still have something to give. I have a lot more gas in the tank. And I'm here. I'm doing this show, doing the work that I do with women, because I hope that you can hear the sincerity in my voice. I want to make a difference. I recently had a client tell me that she got a 6% raise at her job because I helped kind of give her the words, the group she's in, the group coaching program she's in, gave her wisdom and confidence and the words to do that. That makes me come alive. Those examples make me come alive. And so I want this 48th year to be one of living fully, living bravely, not only for myself, but in the honor of my father and my dear mentor. So turning 48 is a celebration for me, and it is the start of a new phase. It's the start of the crone era, if you will. So I have thought about, and I thought, let's just stick with the eights, right? So here are my top 8 learnings as I celebrate my birthday this week. So the first one is I can start in one place and end somewhere entirely new. So you can start in one place, and I'm just reminding you that you can end up in a year, in 2 years. They say we're entirely new people from a cellular level every 7 years. You can end up entirely somewhere new, which is super exciting. And so let me tell you a little bit about who I was way back. So when I was a kid, I was so shy. I was a wallflower, which I don't know if we use that term anymore. So a wallflower is someone that sticks to the wall, right? So remember like sixth, seventh, eighth grade. Oh, my older one, Charlotte, is in eighth grade. I can't believe it. And it's that awkward. It's that middle phase, that painful phase, right? And so I was the wallflower sticking to that, the back of the gym at middle school dances. And as I was like putting this together, the song came into my head. So people that are of my age bracket, I'm sorry that I'm going to mention this song. Remember Lady in Red? Baby Lady in Red. So now you're going to hear that song too, because it was like, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, go look up the song Lady in Red. It is so cheesy. But in my era, it was like what you slow dance to with your date to. It was such a romantic song. It was super popular at that time, but it just annoys you. It's like a little cloying. So sorry I had to mention it, but it's what came up in my mind. So anyway, I was so shy. I was so embarrassed to speak up in front of others. And here I am. I'm on a podcast mic with you. So it took a decision. In all seriousness, it took a decision. It took continued practice to find a new way of operating in the world. And I told one of my coaching clients recently that I was shy as a kid. And she told me, she flat out said, I don't believe you. But it's absolutely true. If my mom were here, she would be like, yep, I lived through that pain. I blossomed after participating. This is how I did it. I blossomed after participating in the high school speech team, which was torture at that time, but I did it. I blossomed in college, living overseas, 4,000 miles away from my family, and just continually pushing myself outside of my comfort zone as I started my career. And now I'm putting my goals out there. I'm one of those people, right? I'm a planner. I'm aiming for 6 keynote presentations in 2026. Okay. So that's my goal, everybody. I'm putting it out there. So if you are in one place and you want to gradually move to another, I'm just telling you, you can do it. You can start a podcast. You can be a keynote presenter, even though you've never spoken before. You can do a TED Talk. You can write a book. You can do whatever you want, because just because you are where you are right now doesn't mean that in a year you can't be in an entirely new place. And so I promise you, you absolutely can do whatever you want to do, whatever your heart desires. Second one, and this one's big for me. You probably have heard it as a refrain in a lot of my conversations with other women, a lot of my interviews, a lot of my podcasts. is if you don't ask, you will not get. So it's just a reminder. If you will not ask, you will not get. And even worse, you're never going to know because you just never asked. So I've already burned out once. I'm going to give you an example, real world that just happened within the last like week or two. So recently, my corporate work has been heating up. Let's just say it's been pretty stressful. And it's been stressful enough that I have felt on what I call the fire's edge of burnout once again. And if you have ever had like a health issue or you've had a burnout, it does feel like fire, right? A lot of illness, right, is not only dis-ease, being not at ease or ill at ease, but it's about inflammation and it's about the body going awry. And so I felt on that fire's edge again, where I was like, whoa, whoa, like I feel ill at ease. I don't feel comfortable in my body. I don't feel comfortable right now in my mental state. And I've got to do something. I got to do something differently. So my mistake the first time around when it happened, the burnout in 2019, is that I tried to push down all of my stress, all of my anxiety. I hid it away in a tiny little box and I swallowed it whole. I tried to fake it until I made it. That was a big thing in when I grew up, suck it up, buttercup, fake it till you make it. It's a very male dominated, patriarchal kind of society thought. And I bought that hook, line, and sinker, and it backfired. Obviously, it backfired. But the beauty is, here I am, 250 shows later, right? So this time, a few weeks ago, I could feel the stress and the anxiety like rising like a tide. I could feel on the fire's edge. But immediately after the first go round, I was afraid enough, and I am still afraid enough, where I started putting tools into place. So here's some of my tools. If you're feeling as in a similar place as I am, because I surely do not want you to ever get to where I got to in 2019. So some of the things I did, simple things and more complicated things. I told friends, like dear friends, lifelong friends, like check on me. Like I didn't let shame stop me from saying, I'm not good right now. Please, family, please, friends, check on me. Make sure I'm doing what I need to be doing to protect myself. I double down on my meditation and my prayer like it has been my job. So if I need to do extra meditation, extra prayer, I do it. And that really helps me. I also, and this is harder, I asked for more flexibility at work. I had to admit, like, what do I need right now? What do I need? And I went and asked for it. Now, in my particular situation, and I don't think you have to like quote unquote earn it. Like I think you can just ask and see what happens. But I know I've earned these abilities for these asks. But for the longest time, I didn't think I even earned the right to ask for what I needed. I just like swallowed it whole and made it seem like I was fine. And what's interesting about that is if you always look fine, why would anyone think that you're not drowning? Why would anyone think that you're not okay? Of course you're okay. Jen's always okay. Or so and so, enter your name here is always okay. And I've had to be vulnerable. I've had to be open enough with myself. I've had to put the ego away to say, sometimes I'm just not okay. So in my situation, I put those tools into place. And I would love to tell you like the stress has magically disappeared, but it hasn't. Like the stress is still high and there's no way around that in my current situation. However, I do feel a little bit of relief because I have learned to advocate for myself. And here's the big takeaway I've learned. And some of my friends were like, no kidding, Jen. But I just needed a reminder sometimes. Sometimes you need that re-edification or it comes in as a new sense of awareness. No one is coming to save me but me. No one's coming to save you but you. So I need to save myself one ask at a time. And so that's what I plan to do as I'm in kind of a challenging life and work situation. So I want to kind of go to a lighter side of it because I feel so strongly about using your voice that I'm trying to teach this concept to my own daughters, which Charlotte is 13 and a half. She would be like 13 and a half, approaching 14.
And Olivia is more of a newbie at 7, right? So she's 7. So let me give you an example. So my daughter, again, Olivia, the 7-year-old, she recently ordered a strawberry smoothie at a local coffee house, like a bougie coffee house, right? And this smoothie was like pricey, right? And so Olivia originally like looks at me and she has a couple sips and she's like, Mom, I don't like it. I don't like it. And you know, kids are like, they're not going to pull any punches. They're just gonna be like, I don't like it. And I looked at her, and my first reaction, not a great mom moment, was like, you will suck that smoothie down. You will suck it down right now. But then I told her, and then she kind of like looked at me sheepishly, and I was like, no. And I was like, no, no, no. I'm like, dear, like, darling, like, you don't like it, you don't like it. Right. Then I thought better. And so I said, and I really feel that this comes from meditation, from prayer, from God, the downloads, right? I think like I had a download and I said, okay, Olivia, I'm like, I want you to go up to the barista and I want you to let her know politely. I did not do this for her that you don't love it. Be kind, be kind. Don't be rude about it. Don't be snotty about it. Be like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I don't love this. And I want you to look her in the eye and I want you to ask for a hot chocolate. And I want you to ask her with rainbow sprinkles on top. Why not? Right? Like, let's go for it. She was so excited, right? She was so excited to do it. She smiled from ear to ear and she's like, you want me to ask that? Like, can I ask that? I'm like, yeah. And she did. She went. I was like probably about like 10 to 15 feet behind her, but I let her walk up and do exactly that. And guess what happened? The barista gave her a hot chocolate and she put little like, whatever rainbow or sprinkles they had. And Olivia loved it. And then I went after Olivia walked away out of like kind of hearing distance. And I went to the barista and I thanked her. And the barista is like even a bonus. And I was expecting to pay for both. She said no charge, right? And I thanked her again and I let her know that I'm training my daughters to have a voice. And I say, let's start them young, ladies. And that goes to boys too. Let's let our boys have a voice. Let's let our girls have a voice, right? So I feel so strongly about that one. So the third lesson learned is, and it's so big, and it took me a long time to come back around to this one. So exploring the world reminds me of who I am. And so I've always been an explorer, right? I've always wanted to go and see things, and I've always been so curious. I was loved philosophy in college, and I had this big term paper I had to write. My philosophy professor wrote on the top, he says, curiosity cannot be taught. And I'll never forget that. That was the biggest compliment of any of all of the papers that I wrote in college and in my master's and all this stuff. And so I've always been an explorer. And here we go, right? Life takes a turn. So after I became a mom, and I'm not blaming becoming a mom, being a mom is one of the best pieces of my life. Being the privilege of having two humans that are like my hearts walking outside of my body kind of catches me. I'm getting emotional here. But when I became a mom, I thought it was silly or selfish or not possible to take trips by myself or with friends. Now, maybe I'm a little bit of an oddball. I love to even travel by myself. I know that's not maybe typically quote unquote standard, but I love it. I love it. So I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could take trips to explore by myself. I didn't think I could take trips with my dear girlfriends or other friends to explore. And so the reason this is interesting and sad is that this is coming from a woman. This is coming from me. I traveled to France, as you heard. I just had Pamela Fierce Walsh on, and we met in France as college students. So I traveled to France as a senior in college. I was a double foreign language major. I went to study abroad for a year, not for a couple months. I went to study abroad for a year. And after college, life happens, right? I fell in line as we do, right? To get a job and put childish things away and, take on quote unquote adulting with adult responsibilities. And you know what? I lost myself in the process. And so then a friend saved me. A friend saved me. Thank you, goodness. So in 2024, I took my first like friend trip to Europe, like all the way across the pond in 26 years. If that's right math, everybody. And I want to thank, and I have thanked on this podcast, but thank you, Jenny, my dear, dear friend, for believing in me. And she went with her gut. She knew I needed this. She knew I needed to go to Europe with her on this trip. She knew I needed to come back to myself. And so thank you for bringing back such a critical piece of me to me. And so let me tell you, when Jenny and I went to Europe, we went to Croatia, Montenegro, Portugal. We were in Ireland. I think that's all of them, Jenny. So we did all that in 24. And then later in the year, I went to Crete. I went to Greece. I went through Munich, Germany, back and forth. This year I have gone all over. I've been to Paris. That was when it was with my husband. I've been to Montana. Of course, we just talked about that with Pam and my dear friend Suha. And then I have Spokane, Washington on the plan. I have Mallorca, Spain on the horizon in 2026. And so what I'm going to tell you is I am so grateful that I have the opportunity to do this. I am so grateful that I have the resource to do this. And I am so grateful and humbled that I have a partner that encourages me to take these trips so that I can tap into myself and come back renewed. And so I've thought about that as I put this lesson down as I was preparing for today's show. And some of you may not have those things, and I want to respect that. And so if you would love to explore and you just can't go as far, right? I'm going to encourage you to start small. You can, I have actually, so just recently, again, with Olivia, I don't know, we've been doing little explorations in our own town. I went to a historical home in my town for a tour, and I've lived in my particular town for 10 years. So you can take little exploration, day trips, like little explorations in your own town. You never know. You might find something new, something that sparks joy and curiosity. You can take a mom's trip to your nearest city. You can go for a spa day and come right back to your house, but just like take care of and nourish yourself. I'm going to tell you, do whatever works for you. I am a firm believer that your body, mind, and spirit will thank you. Very, very much thank you. So, on the heels of exploring the world, again, on the broader sense, the fourth one is find what works for you. Find what works for you. So, in my case, right now, in my phase of life, as I turn 48, I need to meditate and I need to walk daily. Like, I need to. Do I do it every day? No. Do I let life get in the way? Sure. I'll call myself out, but I am the best version of myself when I meditate and I walk daily. So for the longest time, I thought it was hit cardio, like high intensity interval training, or I was like addicted to spinning for a long time. And I was exercising my body, but I wasn't really tapping into what my body needed. So for an example, my body was like tight, it was prone to injury. Like I overdid my exercise because I thought that's what worked for me. And as soon as I started walking and meditating and tapping in, I actually feel better, less pain, like better in my body, if that makes any sense. So right now at this phase of my life, in that middle phase, right, of my life, I need walks and meditation. I also need weight training. So friends, please like kick my hiney on that one. But I'm still trying to get myself there. So that's a whole other podcast. The benefits of weight training for women. But I will add that weight training. It is on the list. So walking and meditation allow me to get into that my body and allow me to get my body moving, my mind moving, but I'm still tapping into it. It's not just simply checking something off a list, which I think I was doing with spinning probably far too long. And I believe that the things I'm doing now, my meditation and my walking, I believe it's the union of activity and stillness. And it's amazing how many ideas and downloads that I get from these activities daily. But you know what? I'm me, you're you, right? So what do you need? Maybe for you, high intensity interval training and cardio and CrossFit is where it's at, right? Maybe that's the phase of life you're in. We have all phases of women and probably some men that listen to this, right? If you're in your 30s, maybe that is where it is at for you. Maybe it's not about something for exercise. Maybe it's like creating art. Maybe it's taking a jog. Maybe it's reading. Maybe it's journaling. Like whatever it is, go find it. What brings you joy? What makes your heart leap? Right? Like right now, I love when I can help women get paid. Just like I get giddy. Like I'm always like, yeah, like that's made my whole day. What activities make your mind and your body and your spirit feel nourished? So, whatever it is, please, please go find it. One other thing I want you to know is that what works for you can change over time. And I didn't understand this. I think as I'm getting older, I'm understanding it more. So, at one time when I was much younger in my 20s, I loved running, right? Running was my jam. And then it was spinning. And then I loved at one point, I did a lot of journaling, right? And now it's walking, like I said, meditation, and of course, podcasting. So you need to be flexible with yourself and what your quote unquote thing or things are as you change and you grow. The fifth one is aging is a gift. So as I started the show, right today, my dad and my mentor passed at 48 years old, which I now know, isn't it interesting, our perspective? So when I was, how old was I when my dad passed? I was 18, and I was 30 when my mentor passed. And I thought that 48 was so old, and here I am. No, I'm like, no, maybe like 85 is like starting to get old. And then if I'm as blessed to be at 85, maybe I'll think 100 is old. Like, your perspective on age shifts as you get older. So, my dad passed away at 48 from kidney and bone cancer. And my mentor passed away after complications from a back surgery. I also must mention that he partied like a rock star. So that didn't help his cause either. So regardless, these important men in my life, they didn't make it. They didn't make it to 50. They didn't make it to 60 or 70 or 80 or beyond. So as I inch closer to the big 50, I am realizing that aging is a gift and that not everyone gets to do it. So I want to fully embrace, and yes, I'm saying this on a podcast, every wrinkle that I get. Every wrinkle that I get, even though sometimes I look in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I didn't look like I did when I was 30. Things are starting to fall. Things are starting to sag. Things are starting to wrinkle. It's okay because those wrinkles, those changes, they're all full of wisdom. Now, I have to share this because I think there's a caveat because people might be like, well, you're a fraud because you're not, like, it's really popular right now to let people go gray, right? A lot of like people out there going full gray or letting their silver come out and stuff like that. I'm going to tell everybody I'm still planning to color my hair for now and probably forever because it makes me happy. I really like my hair color and I know it's not this underneath the color and I'm okay with that. And if someone wants to let their gray hair grow out, I've got a dear friend who is doing that right now. I say, you do you, boo. If the kids are still saying that now, it was kind of a thing in my day. You do you, boo. Whatever makes you happy. So I'm even in an era, I'm going in the opposite direction where I'm getting eyelash extensions because it makes me happy. So you got to do what works for you. Also, I remember being 20, 30, and 40, and even obviously a few years ago, and I don't want to go back. I really don't want to go back. So, you'd have to think about that. Some people do. Some people say, oh, I'd love to go back to 30. I don't personally. I want to fully inhabit 48. And then if I'm blessed, I want to fully inhabit 49 and then 50 and then so on. So question for you, what does aging mean to you? And then whatever your age, how can you embrace where you are on your journey right now? Something to maybe think about or journal on. The sixth lesson that I've learned that I'd like to share with you is start with 5 minutes. So I'm asked all the time on a very regular basis, how do you do it all? How do you have a corporate career and do this podcast and do this and do that and do all the things and write books and blah, blah, blah. And the truth is I don't. I also have an entire village behind me. I'd be lying if I didn't say that out loud. My husband is amazing and very engaged. I have friends and families and a tribe and like all the people. And so I don't do it all myself. And there are ebbs and flows to everything. And sometimes, like right now, when things are a little on the high tide and a little stressful, more than a little stressful, all I have is 5 minutes to spend on a podcast script. That's it. That's all I've got. And I do it and I chip away at it. And then I come back later because these things, this podcast brings me such immense joy. But whatever I'm doing, these 5 minutes, I'm really trying, they're intentional and they're purposeful. I'm working on presence. So like when I'm with my kids, can I put the phone away? Can I put the computer away? Can I just be with my kid? Can I be with both of my daughters? Can I be with my husband? And these 5 minutes, whatever it is, they go into like these, all of the micro dreams of my day or the relationships of my day. And those 5 minutes keep stacking, right? And when it comes to like things like the podcast or like, work related dreams or a side hustle, if I can spend more than 5 minutes, then great. But if I can't that day, I've just stopped beating myself up if I don't. And I want you to know that you can spend 5 minutes in meditation. You can spend 5 minutes in lifting weights. That's a reminder for myself to get started. You can spend 5 minutes journaling, and the list goes on. So whatever your goal or dream, I would just start with 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes and then go from there. So again, I'm a recovering perfectionist, people pleaser, overachiever, gap filler, you name it, I've been there. So our folks that are similar to our overachievers, 5 minutes may sound like puny, like it won't matter. Like it's just black and white thinking, like, I'm not going to just spend 5 minutes. That's stupid. That's a waste of time. But it does matter. It does matter because they're called micro habits and they can make a difference in your health. They can make a difference in your well-being and your goals and your dreams. And this may mean that you need to wake up a bit earlier. Here's the hard truth. Or build it into your current morning routine or into your existing nighttime routine if you're more of a night owl. And it's going to take discipline, but it's only 5 minutes, people. You can do 5 minutes. So what is something that you would like to add into your morning or your evening routine for just 5 minutes per day? The last two, I will go to the seventh one. The seventh lesson I've learned is leaning into your community, leaning into your tribe. So as a kid, my dear old dad taught me this, and he did the best he can with what he had. He was an only child, and he didn't have a lot of friends in his life. At least I didn't see them growing up. I didn't see good examples of parents who had friendships. I really didn't see that, whether it was at church or through work, or we really were an insular family, very family oriented. So my dad taught me this. If you're going to do something right, do it yourself. And so my dad said it, and it was my dad, right? I believed him. I thought I needed to do everything myself personally and professionally. And here's the truth. And I love you, Dad. He was wrong. And so was I. He was wrong for saying that because that is what he knew. He did it himself. You don't need to do everything yourself. You can't do everything yourself. I'm sitting here thinking of like Beyonce. Do you think Beyonce would be where she is if she felt like that? I don't think so. So I am overwhelmed with gratitude by the Brave Women at Work community, whether it's you, my dear podcast listener, my coaching clients, my family, my friends, my colleagues, and anyone else in my tribe. I am so overwhelmed with gratitude. And what's so interesting about my community and my tribe is it started in the dark, meaning it started during the pandemic. It started with this podcast in 2020. So while everyone was cocooning and going dark and going inside, I was blossoming. So if you don't call that grace and a blessing, I don't know what is. And so when I've been marching closer to burnout just recently, the first thing I did, I was reaching out to my inner circle. I told my husband I wasn't feeling right. I told my friends to check on me and make sure, Jen, are you using your tools? And like I mentioned, in 2019, I thought I had to do everything myself. I was ashamed of my anxiety and my overwhelm. So I kept it hidden. I was alone. I was afraid, and it just didn't end up so well. So I now am open and I vulnerably lean into my community. It's a miracle that I can talk to you as openly as I do on this show, like in this moment on this particular podcast. It took me work to get here because I wasn't raised this way, and it's been hard for me to be open. But now I am, and I lean on my newfound community, which I didn't have until 2019. And I've learned to build my community one person at a time, even in adulthood. Yeah, it's scary and vulnerable to ask someone to coffee or to lunch as an adult, right? It's so much easier when we're kids on the playground and we can just be like, hey, you want to come play? But now we have to ask people to coffee or to lunch. Like, yeah, we got to do the same thing. And it's scary. But most of the time, I ask a woman, hey, do you want to go have some lunch? Most of the time, not every time, but sometimes they're more than happy to join me. And they've probably been thinking they wanted to ask me, but maybe they thought, oh, and I get this, oh, you're too busy, or I didn't want to bother you. And so here's what I say to that. Don't assume about people, right? Don't think that that other person is too busy for friends, right? Bother that person. If in your heart it says, like, I want to ask them out for coffee, go ask them for coffee. And so if your tribe is sparse, go back to that point on asking. Make it a goal to ask a new friend out to coffee or lunch in the next week. It's going to make a difference in your happiness and in your life. The last one that I have for you is not my own. I actually wanted to share it from another podcast guest I had earlier. I think it was this year, Dr. Shante Albert, and I love this one. And it's inhale faith, exhale fear. Inhale faith, exhale fear, attributed to Dr. Shante Albert, and a shout out to Dr. Shante. So Shante went through the ringer in her career. If you go back, just search Shante Albert. You can also link it in the show notes. She went through the ringer in her career, and she was facing job loss and fear about what to do next professionally. And so she particularly leaned into her faith to bring it into that space so she could let go of the fear that threatened to overtake her. And since I'm a meditator and I also have a prayer life, the visual of inhaling faith and exhaling our fear is so clear to me. It's so visceral to me. Also, if the word faith in quotes, right, is triggering to you, make this your own, right? Although I personally love it. I love this saying the way it is. Inhale faith, exhale fear. So, but if it's not right for you, here's some alternatives. It can be inhale belief, exhale fear. Inhale love, exhale fear. Inhale peace, exhale fear. Make this your own. I would say simply know that you can inhale all the goodness you desire and then exhale all the fears that are holding you back. Why do I personally love inhale faith, exhale fear? Because it puts my faith front and center. Faith in a higher power, faith in myself, faith that all things are working out for my good as they should. And in marinating in that space, fear cannot survive. Fear's flame is extinguished, which feels so, so good. Well, that does it for today's podcast on my 8 learnings as I turn 48. In summary, they are: I can start one place and end somewhere entirely new. If you do not ask, you will not get, and you will not know. Exploring the world reminds me of who I am. Find what works for you. Aging is a gift. Start with 5 minutes. Lean into your community. Inhale faith. Exhale fear. I hope you have found this list and some of the thoughts I've had around my birthday and my birthday month uplifting, motivating, and inspiring. Here are a few questions until next time. What are your key learnings from my birthday list, from my lessons list? And how can you show up as a braver and bolder version of yourself as we move forward, as we get ever so close to 2026? As a reminder, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. The show is also available on any other podcast platform you enjoy. Until next time, show up, celebrate your learnings, and be brave.